It's still morning. Good morning. Welcome to the PlugIntro video interview series. I am Scott Forsino. I'm an associate broker with eXp Realty, and I'm the founder of PlugIntro. We have with us today someone I really respect. I know has been so experienced and held in high regard in the real estate industry, been featured on conferences and teaching engagements, and a national speaker. This is Amy Chorew. And we're fortunate enough to have Amy with us today. We want to see what Amy's doing and what she is adding to the industry. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
How are you? How's it been the last little while?
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to know, more about your experience, and your viewers and our local members want to know what you're doing now and what has been your experience and what value you bring to the industry and who you can help. Please.
Fantastic. First of all, I'm in Connecticut, working in central Connecticut up near the West Hartford area. Still selling a little, Scott. I got back in and started selling just to make sure that I
get your hands dirty. Get your hands dirty. Good.
Yeah. So working with my husband on that. Left a corporate position that I adored last year because I still had some entrepreneurial ideas I wanted to focus on. So I'm doing a couple things. I'm working in educating the real estate industry on how cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs are going to impact our industry. Scott, think about it. During the whole supply chain issue, it was solved by blockchain. That's why quickly goods started getting delivered, and they did it by getting on the blockchain. And right now, the medical industry is getting all of our records onto the blockchain, so no one is going to get the wrong medication or not know about a past injury. All of that stuff's getting put on the blockchain. So
sure. Would you, just before you go, would you tell us, for those that don't know, what is the blockchain?
Blockchain is a place on the internet where information is stored on thousands of computers, and it can be anything from a transaction or information on product. And every time information, whether it's a transaction or information about a product is logged, a node on the blockchain is created. And in real estate, how it's working is we use smart contracts to close on the blockchain. So it's all automated. So if you have a real estate contract, if things aren't adding up as things go, the next node on the blockchain won't get created. So it's very cool. But so A has to happen, B has to happen, C. So think about, my best example would be Carfax. Remember Carfax when it first started? We're like, who wants to know everything about a car? But everything now about a car, you won't buy a car without knowing whether it had its oil changed regularly or if it was, right? Or if it was in a flood, you want to know. Good, bad, and indifferent. So all of that information gets tracked in a blockchain transaction, whether it's real estate or getting supplies from the docks in San Diego to New Jersey. And all of that is tracked. And the way it's done is on thousands of computers are verifying that information.
Interesting. Okay. So as it relates to real estate and how our agents can become better aware,
yeah,
that's what you're doing. You're teaching them.
Yeah, I want everyone to understand how it can impact our industry and what's going on, because I know it will impact us, but we are still in the early adoption phase. So if anyone's like, oh my God, I missed the boat, you have not missed the boat. And it is a wild west. This past week, President Biden just passed some legislation where they're going to start looking at crypto and how it's impacting, but it was very positive. There are so many banks and venture capitalists and hedge funds and all sorts of financial institutions getting involved with this. So I believe it's going to impact our industry, and it already has.
Interesting. So, do you think that there could be offers made on property using crypto alone, nothing backing it?
It's already happened, Scott. Houses have sold for crypto. Right now, if someone's going to do a traditional transaction, they have to convert the cryptocurrency to US fiat dollar before it can close if you're using a regular transaction. But if you're doing it on the blockchain, people literally connect their wallets, their crypto wallets, and they exchange. There has been, that's been going on for quite a while, but you need a transaction platform to do that. There's quite a few out there. And again, we're just learning how to make these things run. So it would be an equivalent of your, a .loop transaction platform or Broker Mint. And there's others, and I apologize if I didn't mention all of them out there, but those platforms where things happen, it's done differently. And it's done in, it's done with Ethereum. I'll just put that out there. There's a Bitcoin blockchain and there's the Ethereum blockchain. Most real estate is done on the Ethereum because the Ethereum blockchain allows smart contracts. And we need a contract that does each step of the transaction, just like we do now, to verify everything is in order.
Wow. So that's, would you say the smart contract is akin to a clearinghouse where step by step to allow further progress?
That's a really good analogy. Really good analogy. You know what's interesting too? On some of the more public wallets, there's one called Coinbase. You can now borrow against your cryptocurrency. You can take a loan out. So let's say you have $100,000 of Bitcoin. You can borrow a certain percentage. Maybe you can borrow about 30 grand. Now the interest rate is high and you have to pay it back. It's about 8% and you have to pay it back in a year, but your crypto never stops building. You're only using it as leverage. So you don't have to cash it out. And people are borrowing against cryptocurrency already. There are fractional ownerships that are happening with cryptocurrency. We actually saw the first mortgages coined as NFTs. It's crazy. We do a 1-hour overview session. We're teaching it all around the country if anyone's interested. And because we are kind of connected with Proppy, which is an online platform, we are allowed to give away to anyone who has a Realtor license 200 of their tokens. So they have their own cryptocurrency. It's a utility token. You use them to buy services on their platform. We give away 200 tokens when we speak to agents. So it's kind of cool to give away cryptocurrency.
Right. I mean, I guess the name bothers some people. Crypto, it's secret. When it started, it was really, I don't want to say sinister, but alternative, right? And unknown. And that I actually heard there may be a modification of the term where it's more of a seen as, the opposite of money laundering or drug money. It's not a safe haven. It's just an alternative, maybe something along the lines of an advantageous exchange.
Scott, think about other trends that have become standards in the real estate industry. The MLS book, we lived by it. The internet came. Now you can put an address in and find everything about the house. Social media. Scott, I remember being laughed out of Triple Play, which is New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania's conference in 2004. People laughed at me because they said this social media stuff will never happen.
Never.
It became trends. I have a gut feeling this will become an integral part of our industry. And I'm thinking of the millennial client, been brought up on gaming online. So again, it's not uncommon for them to have trust in something where maybe some of us don't have the trust. And
sure. I mean, just the fact that you said wallet, I only became a wallet from Apple like 2 years ago. People didn't, all these other, even Zelle and Venmo's not that long. This is stuff that we learned in our 40s and even 50s, where I have nephews who haven't been to an ATM.
So we will see. And then there's all other crazy things that are happening, like metaverse, where people are buying digital land. But it's funny, Scott, I ride my bike with a app called Zwift, Z-W-I-F-T. I've got a trainer on my bike and I log on and I ride my bike with people all over the world. And I'm like, right now I'm doing this volcano ride, right? It's 7 miles and I'm on my bike and it slows me down and I'm like passing all this land. I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could buy that land on Zwift. I could own that piece. And every time I buy it, it's like, I own that land. I mean, so I'm getting there. I'm actually getting there.
The best explanation for buying that digital land, which no one could understand, someone said it is the same as a domain name. If you own that domain name, you could put information there. So if you own that quote unquote address in the metaverse, because with eXp Realty, we were built for this. I've had an avatar for some time now, and it is truly the metaverse. Verbella was a great expression of the metaverse. That was laughed at. I mean, to some extent, it still is. But there's so much learning and training and communication and even community where it's kind of good enough. I'd rather speak to someone I know through there, and we have so much more of the day.
Well, the other thing is the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens. If anyone listens to this session, they're going to start seeing those terms all on their social media now whenever they go online. It is something that is very unique, and it started with artwork and music. But 2 months ago, the first home sold as an NFT in the United States, in Florida, and not every state allows it. So you have to look at your state laws. But there's quite a few states that do allow it. There's 10 other houses. People want to just sell their homes on the blockchain with cryptocurrency and be done with it. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't do their due diligence. There's still those aspects of the transaction. But yes, houses are selling as NFTs. I actually bought an NFT the other day. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. As you say, there's still the due diligence because when you're buying a house, you need to know who owns it and be safe with a clear title. I wonder when there won't be a parallel approach when the blockchain is more trusted and more utilized than the county clerk's office.
There's so much fraud and mistakes that can happen because it has to go through, the ledger, the bank ledger or the county clerk's office. When things are said on the blockchain and they're verified, they're immutable. They are there and they can't be changed. It's pretty incredible. On the NFT, I had a great experience. There's a charity called Home News Story. News Story is a millennial-run philanthropic organization where they build small houses. They actually do 3D printing now of those houses. They've been in El Salvador, Bolivia, Mexico. They have some in the States where they bring a house to someone who's never had running water or ever had a floor under their feet. They've always had a dirt floor, changing lives. The houses run between $4,000 and $6,000, and quite a few real estate companies use them as one of their philanthropic group points. They started this past year a new subdivision in El Salvador, and they put an NFT attached to the house. So you can buy an NFT. It's a little very crude graphic of a house. And then you buy this house for $6,000 and you give the home to a family. But what happens is you become part of this community, which I love. So my business partner and I bought one. You have to buy it for Ethereum. So we bought it for 2 ETH. So about $5,000 or $6,000. And now that we're part of this community, we own this NFT, but we're being kept apprised of everything that's going on with the family that's going to be owning the home. But we're also now part of a community of the 20 people who bought the NFTs. And there's some really amazing people in this group. There's some CEOs of some pretty cool companies. Yeah. So anyway, a lot to talk about there.
Well, you're doing good by ushering in this new utilization of this new technology. It is astounding, and I know that the agents that come across this are going to be faced with this whether they like it or not in the very near future. If you notice, even in the Super Bowl, Odell Beckham got his salary in crypto. So I mean, he's a little bit out there.
Good idea.
Well, he went down, but he just decided that's going to be a play, and with his ability, I think it's going to work out for him. That's interesting.
One of the things with crypto is there's all different kinds of coins, right? There is something called a stable coin, which is equal to $1. I'm testing something right now. There are some wallets that allow you to get interest much more than you could ever have in a savings account. So any money that I'm going to owe on taxes on my real estate transactions, I put in as a stable coin, I'm using something called USDC, and I'm getting 8.5% APY on that money. Like, where do you get that? If I left it in my savings account, what would I get? 0.15.
Nothing, right.
And these sites are FDIC backed. So I don't think I'm risking anything. So I'm excited with doing that. That's one aspect I do with cryptocurrency, but that's kind of a safe way to do it.
There's so many applications, and I think you brought up a great point. The people coming into the market are accustomed to doing everything off their phone. The apps are what they do, and it is said that technology progresses one death at a time, and that's crazy to say, but I've seen in the law community and I've seen it in the real estate community where one death means one less person doing it the old-fashioned way. And in New York State, a big thing that happened during COVID was the governor allowed for e-notary, and notarization was the one thing that put people in the same room. And there was obviously an exigent need to keep people out of the same room, so they had to pass something that was really sought after for a while. It was basically not given any kind of consideration. Now, when you have a CDC and you can't have people in the same room, how could you possibly have before it was passed, people were doing stuff on the hoods of cars because from March became the summer. So it was actually happening. And then when fall came in and the leaves turned brown, I said, look, we can't do this anymore outside. So it took a summer and a fall to get something passed.
Crazy.
So tell me more. What other projects? I want to hear more about your prop tech and how you're proceeding.
So the other thing that I'm passionate about is onboarding. I read a book 2 years ago called Power of Moments by Dan Heath, and it blew me away. He talks about little experiences make people feel better, more connected. We're all values driven now, and we all want to create great cultures at our companies, at our real estate companies. And if we don't onboard people well, there's a lot of frustration. So when I say onboarding, it's they want to get into to work with you, so they have to change all their paperwork at the board. They've got to get their E&O insurance. They have to go through your policy manual, all of that stuff. I have automated that online for companies. That's the first thing. And that's pretty easy. It's filling out forms that go to somebody, but it's really great when you go to a company, they give you a form with links, or you can put it in your extranet, your intranet, and they can click on it, they can fill it out, they can do it all at once, they can time it out. Some brokers, we added email component to that. So there's 10 things they need to do. All of a sudden the agent's like, wow, this company's together. They're technical. They made this easy for me. It's not paperwork all over the place. But the next step was then when they come to a company, we give them a fire hose. So what we did was the next part is, what is the culture of my company? What are your safety tips? What do we say? What is the value prop of this company? So you can help create yours. Who do I go for technology problems, for marketing problems, or just to get set up on my website for the company? So we created all of that. We created who to talk to, where to go for stuff. And that we created in a learning management system because we have videos and clickable links. And it's been going really well because agents, and then there's a live component. Some companies do it live because that part everyone can come to. And so many of our agents don't know that basic information. So I've been doing that, and that's been going great. Very excited about that.
I think that's critical because that's a huge impediment and an obstacle to joining a company. In fact, I've heard others say, I don't want to learn a whole new thing. So, that's something where if you could streamline that process and make it a pleasure versus an ordeal. So let me ask you, are you offering that? Are you currently in use with the Realogy companies or Keller or EXP or any independents?
I have clients all over the world that are asking me to do this. We work with everyone. The good news is I'm an independent now. So we work with clients. We've done it different. We have a very small company. I created a clickable PDF and we used Jotform because that's all she could do. Another client uses Slack. We were able to put it all in Slack for them. Another company uses a full-fledged learning management system called Talent LMS, one of my favorite LMSs, and we're building it out there. So it really depends on how big, the company is, or how much they
So
want.
who is the client? The real estate company?
It's the company. It's mostly the company. So we are starting to work with, we work with a lot of larger brokerages within firms, but we are starting to work with some actual franchises as well.
Well, I think that, because everything is the rage with teams, because you have these sub companies. I know with EXP and Keller, the Smith team or the Jones team. I think that if you don't get a complete adoption by a huge company, maybe with each individual team, especially where there's revenue sharing, such as EXP and Keller, they might really want to make it extremely easy to come aboard.
I'm still proof of concept. We've done this now. We're on our 4th client. I've only been on my own for a year. And I have amazing instructional designers, e-learning and instructional designers around the country who work with me. So I wanted to make sure that we got some ROI. Anything I create, I want to make sure that there's an ROI that is established by the client and that they see the results they want. So that's where we are. So we're scaling up on that now. Yep. I get a lot.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're doing on-demand courses for new agents, and we're doing the crypto and bringing learning really to the next level, where it's, I do a lot of research on the adult learner and how we like to absorb information, and it's changing. It's really changing. So we're trying to keep that cutting edge. So we're working on some stuff like that now too. So it's been busy.
Well, COVID, I've been knowing Zoom for years, you probably as well, but for, the vast majority of real estate practitioners, that was thrust upon us, where all of a sudden, the time at the office, the office meetings, which were such a drudgery, now it put people in front of their computers, and they realized the benefit with the speed and the expediency and the connectivity. So I think that, Zoom really is the first purposeful injection of this, remote learning, and this, and the way telehealth came involved and everything remote, and it really was powerful. Again, I don't think it's going to ever replace face-to-face contact, because there's so much benefit there for people who love people. But there's the introvert above that says, "Wow, this is great! I don't have to deal with people. I can still learn."
Yeah.
Yeah, that paved the way.
Yeah. I was looking for my iPad. One of the things, so many of us have fatigue from sitting in the classes. I just, from a company who does more leadership, a company that I'm working with, he teaches off of his iPad. He brings his PowerPoint into this app, and he has some of the information filled out on the apps. And when he teaches, he's got his pen and he's filling stuff out on the tablet. Oh my gosh, it was so engaging to be in his class. So I'm like, how did you do that? And he sent me all of the tools. So I'm practicing now. But I think we're going to start seeing more iterations. So it could be on demand, it could be live virtual, but we have to get better at this stuff, or it's like watching paint dry, right? It's horrible.
Yeah, more of a dynamic presentation. And, that's another example where I was 30 years old when I tried email. Because I was in school till 25, and then you got back in a government job. So everything lagged. And look at, I have right now, my daughters are 11, and they teach my parents, Poppy, here, Nanny, here's how you lost your app on your phone. Here's how you get it back. They were panicking, calling Verizon, and Verizon didn't even know what they're talking about. So, I mean, the power is in this novelty and the freshness, which we're bringing. And again, these, there's, one thing with PlugIntro is I'm happy to have someone like you who's a leading national authority and bringing this information to the masses. and that's really for improving the industry. But the local practitioner needs to connect with their locals who can be prospective clients and referral partners. And there's with the advent of the online lending and all the venture capital and all the technology is pushing the consumer to the ultimate provider of those services, lending. And look at Zillow. I mean, a long time ago, they had a consumer in their pajamas meeting an agent. And it was, so if you really think about it, I use this fact that trust is under attack, that the referral, now it's ironic, I'm sure you know this, that NAR, National Association of Realtors, says that still 85% of people are buying from a trusted resource. Now that makes sense because the people with jobs and capabilities are still trusting their neighbor. But I got to think that's even eroding because people are not spending their time and effort with building those relations. Zoom is not going to create that. So I had to take something of a Zoom nature, create PlugIntro, where you're actually offering a benefit to others. If you were to give a local contact or referral partner a way to promote their business, it's not going to be 100%, but there's at least an impact you can make on them to consider you greatly for when a need arises. We all have to realize that trust is under attack. There's no money in trust except to the individuals participating. So it's a real pushback that we have to have. I mean, crypto is, to me, the ultimate expression of cutting out the middleman. When we can skip banks and approvals, it's going to really.
We're a long way off from that, but I do appreciate being asked on today because I love what you're doing here. You're making it easy to connect virtually, learn about other people in the community and in the overall real estate community. So thank you for doing this.
Yes, really. This is a video interview series. We're going to have you back and back. We want to really gain from your insight and your experience and the training you've conducted. So I'm thankful to have you. We're going to send this video for your own review. We'll share it appropriately, and we feel honored and looking forward to more. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Scott.